So thank you for Perfect Click, and thank you for helping us to be more sustainable. So I was thinking, what to show, and generally I don't like too much of corporate slogans unless they're really backed up by the actions, and or they're living and breathing it. Otherwise, it's a words on the wall. So when I look into the Danske Bank in Lithuania, we have about 4,000 people. 4,000 employees in Vilnius. So we are literally moved out of the banking business in Lithuania, but we are still part of a big bank, helping bank to succeed and release the full potential for their clients. So the 4,000 people, we move from the banking business, I say for myself, we move into the people business. And for me, the people business, this is probably the places where I've been all my life. And when I talk about sustainability, the question is how we can make the sustainability programs really sustainable. It means, for me, that means you are ticking 3 boxes that should be good for your people, that should be good for your business, and that should be good for your society. And if you are able to get this triple win and interlock those 3 boxes, then your sustainability program is true, this is honest, because you kind of reinforcing that not only by saying it, not because you just want to do that, not just because for the common good, but you deeply understand why it is important and you have the energy to continue forward. So for me, it's how to keep your heads in the cloud and then have feet on the ground and walk the talk. Sustainability probably for me resonates a lot with a stewardship. A stewardship for me means you leave the things better when you find them. If I look into the why we are doing it in the people business, I think we have to roll back a little bit, like for 100 years, the relationships between the employee and employer. If you look into that at the beginning, the employees has very little expectations, imagine 100 years ago, towards the employer and vice versa. So you come to work, you finish your job, you get paid, you leave. So this is basically the relationship has been happening, that at some point we move to the productivity question. Ford is a good example, how we can make it more efficient. So then we have looked into, okay, what the environments are, how we can improve the processes of employee optimization, make it more efficient, etc., standardize the stuff. So that already has impacted on the relationships between employees and expectations on the both ends from employer and employee. Society didn't kick it yet in that moment, I guess. Then we looked into where the most of the companies are. We start to care about people engagement. The dark side of the people engagement, at least for me, is when you look into the engagement surveys, and this is scientifically proven, and you address it with a certain actions in the yearly period that could move your engagement scores, like 3 to 10% max, and after some time it drops down again. So this is the studies I found in the Jacob Morgan book, and I said, oh, what's happening really? So, well, we have a company statement, we do all that stuff, we start focusing on the culture and annual surveys, right? But it doesn't really work well. And then when you look into what is really matters, and for me personally, happy employees are more productive employees, right? So of course, there's a lot of in it. But then if you look into culture, that's important. What we price, how we behave, what do we do? Then it's also important technology. What environments did you create also with technology and the space? Understanding the operational model. Can employees be productive? How can we adhere to their demands? Do we feel good in the work? Do we feel inspired? What the colors you have? We're investing a hell amount of money actually into the good offices, and thank you for the colleagues before, helping us to do that. If someone not been there, so give me a call via LinkedIn. I'll tell you all the entire philosophy behind it. Visit our place. But the most important is, as we move from only our basic needs, the more and more employees choose the companies because the company has a reason for being. It's much bigger reason than just produce the profit or just produce the goods. So if you look from that, and this slide I made it for myself actually, how could I explain to the employees why the sustainability is important and what is my practical approach toward this? So as being engineer, I put everything in the stacks, Maslow pyramids, all certain structures. So, that helps me to operate. So if you look to the business perspective, we are the Danske Bank, we are the bank on the global scale. What is our strength? The biggest strength is actually power of finance. If you look from that, sustainable financing, this is the choices, how we can finance the good companies, the green bonds, how we help the companies to accelerate, which actually is better good for society. And we put the billions in it, we have a focus on it, and we help the companies to prosper. We have also helping the investors, by getting into this game. Ourselves, we are also investing a lot. We are the bank, so we are also the investor. So this same philosophy is transferred to that. On the governance side, we as a bank, we have a responsibility to protect our users from the financial crimes. It's about 3,000 employees out of 20,000 in Danske Bank are working only to looking into that, but all the transactions, all the payments, 40 million payments are screened on a monthly basis. Are we right? Is it someone getting cheated? Do we have some evasion of the money? Do we have some shady stuff? So we are like a big financial police office, actually, helping to be better for society, more responsible, don't allow the bad money to come in or come out. And this is the business of this kind of big force behind it. And this is also good for the business and good for society. If I look to the people domain, this is my plain game field. We are in the people business. 4,000 employees. Imagine if their productivity or engagement drops by 5% or by 10%. We are running on the run rate about 200 million euros. So imagine what does that mean? So it's 20 million up or down. So it's really important to understand what drives the people, what drives their productivity, what drives their well-being. For me, and those people who has been working in the offshoring, nearshoring, and different type of setups, they would understand very clearly what I'm saying. Sustainable organization. There has been a good and not so good and perfect and bad practices running this business. It depends on how you provide and what kind of jobs you outsource, insource, and keep the people equipped with. So sustainable organizational design is, for me, when all the people in the company, regardless of their location, are the first-class citizens. We don't throw out the jobs to India or somewhere else just because people are cheaper there and they can do repeatable, meaningless jobs in very fragmented things. This is discouraging the people. This hurts productivity. This is not good practice. And firstly, it's not good practice for the business because you don't derive the best potential from the people you have and invest into human capital. If I look to the talent strategy, why we don't think so much, and we have to think so much about why we're having so much, I would call it waste in that process. All the companies has a high level of attrition, but imagine if you build up the company right, like this triangle, a lot of entry jobs, some jobs for career progression, and you put internal career paths. We are sourcing now about 30% of open roles from inside of organization. That would require work with university and feeding in. And imagine if you make it right, you are actually creating the closed improvement loops inside of a company. You are less and less actually have to be dependent on external environment. And this is a good for business. And this is also great for the people because we know the good people with the right attitude, with the good skills, who are progressing and investing into their learning, they will going up, they will get more responsibilities, they will feel great in the company and they'll be rewarded by this. So we are kind of looking into that. 30% of all openings, it's done from internal candidates. In order to do that, of course, you have to have referral programs. Why you need to pay for the third parties to hire your people? It's about 2 to 3 months salary. So imagine if you operate on the attrition rates between 15 and 20% our market operates, multiplied for the 1,000 people and then by 4. So you will quickly get into a calculation how much of the money we spend for the third parties. Why not to give those money to your people? They are the best actually to attract and to know who are the best guys in the market. We pay them if they, and this is like I'm getting closing loop. So why we don't make this process more sustainable for ourselves and better for our employees? If I move to the society, let's take one spectrum, D&I, diversity and inclusion. And for me is so important because it's so close to my heart. We have to have a courage, especially big companies, international companies. It depends on, of course, environment you operate. But in Lithuania, to my opinion, we are kind of behind a little bit. And that takes a courage and the bravery to be a step ahead than the rest of society, to help society to progress faster. Our laws, they don't have anything said about if two same-sex parents, they have the kid, they can't really get even the paternity leave, paid paternity leave. Same-sex parents can't. We don't have a law for that, even if you want. There's a lot of hard things for the people. Therefore, we are supporting the motion towards to the same rights for all the people, but also we do very practical steps. With our HR department, if the same-sex couple has a child, we are paying them from our own funds the paid parental leave. And this is happening as we speak now. So I think it takes a courage to help society to develop to the better one, although society is very much divided in Lithuania regarding D&I. I'm not talking about only sex, age, is disabilities. This is much wider spectrum. So in order to be successful in the people business, of course, university is not about only helping universities to teach what is necessary to get the skills in the market, but it's also understand what is sustainable. All the people in university, especially in IT, from the second year of graduation in the university, they all already have jobs. And this is the fact. The dark side of that, they compromise the quality of the skills they're getting in university. They're simply spending 8 hours a day because the money they need is now, instead of going to the lessons in university. So this is, or they stretch themselves. They work like 14 hours then because, the 8 hours at the job, the rest with the studies. And this is not that nice. So instead of, just looking simply, okay, let's employ more students, you have to be really careful. What do you really impose on them? The quality of education suffers from that. So we said, okay, fine. So let's establish the university program where we pay reasonable amount of money for the students to live their lives. But we cap, actually, we even cap their hours. They should be able to spend 30 hours, for instance, a week. And we provide them flexible schedule to come to work so they can combine the studies and work for them in a sustainable manner. For us, it's a massive benefit because the university's students, which are talented, most of them actually, they stay in the company. They feed the chain of talents. And this is what makes win-win-win for everybody, I guess. We touched before on the work-home balance in our discussion. Of course, pandemic changed the stuff. We've been talking about work or not from home before pandemic for the years, and then it just happened in a day. So literally, like in 2 weeks, we moved 99% of the people in Danske Bank in Lithuania to home. So, but then we look into that. Oh, hey, this is actually cool. So, how we can help the people, how we can subsidize the equipment they can buy at home and arrange an office. This is some tangible things. We can make their lives much easier, much better. It's also good for productivity. So, we dedicate amount of money to buy the monitors, to equip chairs, etc., whatever you want or need to make your life much easier and better. And then flex commute, flexible schedules. Why don't you need to stuck in the traffic jams in the mornings? Let's remember yesterday what has happened. It took me 1 hour to bring my daughter to the school. Oh my God. So, if not a daughter, I would go to commute to my work actually at 10 o'clock because I can do my mails in the morning. I can jump into this. And this is already corporate culture. This is absolutely fine. We trust our people. They do the job and they can choose a flexibility. And that should be backed up from something which is very fundamental, our investment into our environments. I think we touch upon the offices. Yes, I think we have a fantastic office in Vilnius. I think, it's all beam, solar blinds. It uses the rainwater. It's very power efficient. It's activity based. So basically, people don't, they choose the way we want to work. It's absolutely flex seating. It has a canteens, it has a sport gym, so people don't need to waste the energy to find something else to come. We spoke with a mayor, unfortunately it didn't happen, but I said, okay, look, what we need to be more sustainable, less travel. So why don't you open like a kindergarten for 1,000 great kids close to us? So, less traffic jams, to arrive to the same location, you give your kid to the kindergarten, take it from kindergarten, no commuting inside of the city just because of that. So, we didn't agree with Shimachos on that. Whatever. So, but this is the aspiration. If you look into the services, what is sustainable? Like canteens, simple things, but this is important. People can spend less time going for lunch and waiting for the waiters instead of they can come and pick up the stuff they really want to eat. It's a kind of flat fee, very seamless. Book, you pay, you go. And then it's not only save the money, they can like 1 hour for developer is a 50 euros, right? So, if you spend 1 hour elsewhere, the businessman would feel, okay, that means I lost like 50 euros. If he spends 15 minutes for the lunch, then probably, he will code more, right? So he'll create a value of 45 euros or so, or 30 euros. That's kind of business logic. But for me, it's also employees' happiness. Look, they can spend that 45 minutes on something else than the job. We can chat with the friends, we can go to play the golf on the simulator or do something which, go to a mindfulness lesson, go to the gym, make it much more better for him. And
Giedrius,
yeah,
as we, I see the passion, I see the excitement of yours, right? But I also see the clock ticking there, and I don't want to hold my audience for too long. So if you would go to the conclusions, right? So what are the key aspects that you would like to bring to our audience to say, so what is the core of the strategy?
So I guess, first of all, get it structured and get the storyline for yourself. Do you really believe it? Try to get win-win-win. Then it will be really sustainable, because if that helps your business, if that helps your people, if that helps your society, this is basically the reinforcing elements which would make your investment into that and effort into that continuous and very impactful. If you have a traffic problem, why not? You create the car spots for the people who bring their another colleagues into office, and these are marked, and you cannot park, anyone else can park there except those who comes in couples or more employees. This is benefit. If you have less cars in the parking, you have less commute time, and employees can enjoy each other actually on the way to work. Those practical things. You have to live the dream. You have to make it real. You have to make it happen. Donate furnitures, bikes to work, fantastic. Put the showers. Not only that, if you want the people come to bike to work, incentivize it. Make a 2 times a year bike repair shop for free. You'll see hundreds of bicycles appearing on that day. And for some people, that would become a habit. So what I'm trying to say, keep it conceptual, keep it real, walk the talk, but always see the bigger picture. So Ludas, thank you. Back to you.
Giedrius, I love the passion. I love the atmosphere there.